Hi guys, and welcome to First Time Fishing with me, Big Bird. Now, we're going to talk about part 4 of reviewing the Preston XS90 pole, the Matrix MTX4 and the MAP 1001. In this one, I'm going to give you my ratings out of 5 stars on rigidness, strength, responsiveness, lightness, its ease of use at 16 meters, and its overall rating out of 5 stars. But firstly, I just want to speak about the First Time Fishing membership, which has gone live. It's completely optional and you do not have to do it. It won't affect anything about the content on this channel. You can still watch the videos. However, if you feel like you want to support the channel, you can get badges next to your names in carbon, bronze, silver and gold fish, depending on how long you're a member. It's 99p a month and it's to raise funds for extra tackle for me to review on this channel for you guys. As soon as it's all been reviewed, those tackle are going to be given away to those members who pay that 99p subscription each month. But it's optional, you don't need to do it, but it should help the channel grow. But I would just like to give a massive mention: Paul Carpenter, Anthony Simpkins, Luke, Paul Tuff,
Flash Gordon, Sav Munyago, Andy 1990, Chris Millard, Matt Richardson, Andrew Dunn, Kinetic Dave, Clara Arthur, Mick Dockett, Aid Smith, Brian Gore, Andy Seago, Michelle Dockett, Mickey Johnson, James Stridgen, Sean Cope, Simon Roberts, Ben Hinnett, Danny May, Dan Riley, Neil Fetham, Alexander Warwas
and Gareth Jones. Thank you guys for signing up to the First Time Fishing membership. I'm really grateful. Now, let's get on to the main part. Before we discuss the findings and our ratings out of 5 stars, let's take a closer look at the poles. Let's go live to Big Bird, who's poolside.
Okay guys, so let's just go through the poles first of all, and let's look at the top kits first. Now, there is a bit of a difference between the top kits. We've got the Preston here, so they all come pre-bushed and they all come with side pullers. So, but the Preston does come with one extra thing. If we actually crack it open in the middle, as you can see, it's actually got some elastic aligner in the middle. So none of the others have that. My Matrix ones, I've had to, I've gone to pole nose bungs and I've had some elastic aligners put in. But I do like that about the Preston. The feel of it, it's great. It's nice and tapered finish. It's got the aligners just here that you can see on the printing. And the side puller, it's, yeah, it does the job. You can hear the bearings inside as well. Superb, all pre-bushed. Let's move on to the Matrix. Now the Matrix are one of the, probably the slickest to go through your hands, but it doesn't really matter on your top kits because those aren't the things that you feed in backwards. Now the side pullers on these are already pre-built in, and as you, if you can just see inside there, I'm not sure whether you can, but there is a little plastic bearing just inside there. And if I hold this up to the mic, you can just about hear it. It is all reinforced. This is the power kit. There are obviously other kits available. However, again, pre-bushed. But yeah, if we were to crack it open in the middle, that is a pole nose bung elastic aligner. It doesn't actually come with that. That might be something that Matrix could maybe improve on. Now, the MAP, Big Bore 4. So, as you can see, I really like the look of this side puller. It's quite neat, it's quite, can't really hear any of the bearings inside. However, it is very neat. It is reinforced as well. If we crack it open, as you can see, there is no elastic aligner inside. However, feels great, not as slick as the Matrix. And as you can see here, it's reinforced at this end as well, which neither of the other two seem to have, which I do like that. I do like that. So let's get on to, I've got the butt section of each pole. So let's look at the Preston first. Preston, silver finish, absolutely stunning looking, reinforced on the ends, and the decals are stunning. They are stunning on the XS90, superb. And this is a 16-metre section. The bores, as you can see, it's quite wide. It is quite wide, and I think it's the widest of the three. So that's the Preston. Matrix MTX4, here it is. Simple design. It's the smoothest of all of the tapered finish. It's got the reinforcement like all of the extra pole sections, except for the two top kits on the Preston and the Matrix have all got reinforced sections. Slightly smaller at the end, at the bore, than the Preston, but that moves us on to the MAP. And when we're talking about bores on the end, it is so much thinner. This is one of the thinnest poles that you can buy currently on the market, the MAP 1001. It's got a great finish to it. The black gloss, on a day like today, it can be piping hot to feed through your hands. And that obviously is a downfall. It's obviously got all of its attributes printed onto the side there. But if I just show you just quickly the difference in bores, I'm hoping that you can see the difference through there. The MAP is considerably smaller than the other two.
First of all, we're going to go into the Preston XS90. Now, this pole, if you've watched the videos, you can see it's got strength. It bent quite a bit when we were potting out, but it did give me a lot of confidence once I'd hooked a fish on. There was a slight delay in responsiveness in going out, in actually striking for your fish when your float went down. But overall, I thought it was a great pole. So, let's see my 5-star ratings. So as you can see, rigidness, I'm giving it a 3-star. It was a little bit flexible. It was a bit too flexible. If you want a rigid pole, this isn't the pole that you want to be getting. Strength, we've given it 5 stars. Like I said in the video, I genuinely, if I hooked the island, I feel like I would have been able to have pulled it in. Responsiveness is a 3 stars. It was still really good, but it just wasn't as good as the others. I felt like there was a slight delay and I was having a little bit of guesswork when the float was going under at distance to try and hook your fish. There's that slight delay because of the bend in the pole. Its lightness is a 4-star out of 5. It is a flagship pole. You don't expect them to be as heavy as your £500 poles. It was probably the middle one of the 3 in heaviness. So that's the reason that I've given it the 4 stars. Its ease of use at 16 metres. I didn't feel it was that great, especially when potting in. It was bouncing all over the place if you watch the video back, and it did mean that I spilt some of my micros that I was feeding in. Ease of use at 16 metres, it was possible to do it. I wouldn't want to do it for 5 hours. So its overall rating is a 4 out of 5 stars, which that's still a great score, an absolute great score. I am conscious that some people have said, why aren't you reviewing the latest pole? Because this was the version before the Superium X90, which I have got a review coming up soon. The packages are all much of a muchness with these 3 poles. You still get the same amount of top kits, etc. And they're very, very easily accessible online. So if you are interested in looking at the packages, make sure that you Google them. They're all online. So that then brings us on to the Matrix MTX4. As you all know, I have the MTX3 myself. Let's get those scores up. So as you can see, this is a very good all-rounder. We've got rigidness at 4 stars. And we've got strength at 4 stars as well. It certainly didn't let the pole down itself. It was a lot more rigid than the Preston. It didn't have that dip in at the end. But I don't think it was quite as rigid as the MAP. But it was a good all-round pole. Its responsiveness, again, I think it was slightly better than the Preston because you weren't having to guess when the float was going to be going under. There was almost that, as soon as you struck the pole, you were able to get that flex at the end. Its lightness, now, this thing was extremely light. This thing I could fish for 5 hours with. It was extremely light, easy to hold in the hand for a 16-metre pole. Its ease of use at 16 metres, because of its lightness, I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. It's not the best pole that I've ever held at 16 metres, but it does a very, very good job of doing it. So overall, a bit like the Preston, we're giving it 4 stars, but they're very different poles. So it sort of depends what you want. The Preston, a lot of power, a lot of control of your fish. The action's a lot better with the pole, and it does give you that confidence that you're going to get your fish in. Whereas the MTX4, it gives you a lot more confidence in before you're catching the fish. You know that you've got that responsiveness from the butt end all the way through to the top kit, and that you're not going to miss those bites as much as the Preston. Now, I know what a few of you are going to think when you see the scores. For the MAP 1001, let's get them loaded up. Now, here they are. So, rigidness, 5 out of 5. This thing matches your Daiwa Tournament Pros, your Aerities. It's absolutely stunning. It's as stiff as they come. But because of how stiff it is, it does feel brittle. So I'm going to have to mark it down with the strength and give it a 3 stars out of 5. I did feel that at distance, there was a possibility that it was going to snap at certain points. It didn't, and it did manage to hold, and they were reasonable sized fish that we were bringing in. But it does have that slight brittleness about it because of how stiff it is. But that means the responsiveness is absolutely incredible. As soon as you lift up at the back, it lifts straight away and reacts straight through to that float. You don't feel as if you're going to miss any bites. It gives you great confidence in using. Its lightness, I felt that let it down a little bit, because even though it felt as if it was the nicest to use from a responsive and confidence perspective of getting your bites, it felt heavy, even though as well the butt section is so much slimmer than the other poles. It did feel the heaviest of the 3. I don't know whether because of the smaller gap at the end of the butt section, whether they have to actually make it a bit thicker and that increases the weight. I don't know really. So its ease of use is a 4 star just because of that extra weight. But I just loved using it at 16 metres. Literally just the tiniest of millimetres of movements and you feel like you're striking. So overall, shock horror, it's another 4 stars. It's 4 stars across the board. But the one thing that we've learnt here is that we have rated 3 different poles, flagship poles from tackle companies, but with 3 very, very different results. Let's pop them all up on the screen. So as you can see from the results, the Preston gets it on strength and confidence of bringing your fish in once you've hooked them, but leaves hooking the fish a little bit left to be desired. Your MAP 1001 is the complete other side of the scale. It's rigid, feels a bit fragile, but gives you great confidence before you're hooking your fish. Gives you a little bit of squeaky bum time when you've got a fish on, especially if it's £6 plus, but it is as rigid as they come. And then if you want something that's in between both of those, you've got the stunning MTX4 that is the all-rounder. It doesn't seem to excel in its rigidness and doesn't excel in landing your fish, but they all come together to give you a more of a all-round confidence for your all-round package. That's my findings with the poles. Like I said, please, if you've got time, subscribe. And if you really, really want to help the channel, I'd really appreciate it. You can sign up to First Time Fishing membership for 99p a month and enter those giveaway competitions for any of the new tackle that I review. Thanks for joining me in the 4-part series. I hope that you've enjoyed it. We'll see if we can get a few more of these done. But all there is for me to say is if you're fishing this weekend, tie lines.